Peace and blessings, family. Shalom, salam alaikum. Whichever way you would like to say peace, we shall improve peace. We greet Allah as Allah, for only Allah can see Allah, and only Allah can be Allah. Salam Allah. Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses. Okay, I want to pick up where we left off on how to live in the vegetarian thing. One of the things I want to touch on is it seems to be some confusion, sometimes on both sides, meaning in the nation and outside the nation, regarding Master Muhammad and Messenger teachings on milk. Let me quote the Messenger so you could get it in context. Keep in mind, Master Muhammad and the Messenger started teaching in the 1930s. Now, I mean, that's in October 1929. Of course, as we know, there was, Wall Street collapse. Now, I mean, the financial people was in soup lines. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad explained to us that he was so poor back in the day, he used to have to go dumpster diving and get old vegetables and stuff just to feed his family with. Now, I mean, so our people didn't have a bunch of money like, nowadays you could use a credit card, you go to McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. There were no fast food joints and all that stuff. Know what I mean? So our people could not afford the luxury of healthy, expensive, fresh foods. Know what I mean? So they had to take that in consideration, especially in Detroit, Michigan, the Black Belt section of the hood, if you will. All right, so let me first read something from the Messenger. Okay. The Messenger says in How to Live. Now, this is How to Live, Book 1. This is the 1967 edition. The Messenger says, quote, "But most poor people like us eat the inexpensive food because we do not have the money to buy expensive foods that rich millionaires eat." Now, here's the qualifier. So he, meaning Master Muhammad, Almighty God, Allah in person, prescribed for us. Prescribed, meaning it's not natural, it's not healthy, it's not the way. He said, but most poor people, meaning people don't have money. You can't go to Whole Foods. You can't afford land and grow your own foods and fresh fruits and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. You can't import and export like you want to. But most poor people like us eat the inexpensive food because we do not have the money to buy expensive foods that rich millionaires eat. So he prescribed for us dry navy beans and bread and milk. Dry navy beans, the pulse bean that Danielle ate, is rich in protein and all that. That don't mean that he want us to eat these navy beans. He had to take and say, okay, well, that our people is poor. My people is poor in America. Now, I mean, what is it that they can afford to eat? Like, okay, growing up as a child, I grew up on the old-fashioned food stamps. Those of you that know what I mean by the old-fashioned food stamps, I'm talking about, we thought the food stamp, we ain't think. The food stamps to us was money. I mean, my mom used to get the books, you know what I mean? And, it'd be like the $10, the $5, the $1 bill, the brown one, whatever. And I worked at a food store, 2 of them actually. So the brother I worked for was Muslim. Now, I mean, Yahya, Johnny Bird. And he was a hustler. I respect his hustle. But one of the things that he did was he went to the bank on Broad and Knowledge. I think it was Providence Bank. We went to the bank like in 1981, somewhere around there. And he basically told him, listen, how can I get change for these food stamps? See, basically the short version is this. When you open up a business account, they give you this little brown bag at the bank with a zipper on it. And it's a lock in the corner. And they give you the key to that bag. And that key also fits the night deposit box. So when we close the store, I put the money in there, the checks, the food stamps, whatever. And I lock it up and I take it down about from 13th and Parkside Ave. I take it like 2 blocks down to the bank. And I unlock the night deposit box, put the money in there, put the bag in there, and lock it back. Boom. In the morning, they take and get the receipt that I wrote in there, how much money it is, and they calculate it. If we put, say, $200 in cash and $150 in food stamps, they would put in his business account $350 in cash. So he loved food stamps. The hood loved the food stamps. Now, I mean, our people being the creative people that they are, we make the best out of bad situations. So what they used to do is they would come to the store, you know, and they'd be like, can I get a pack of Kool-Aid? You give them a pack of Kool-Aid, like 15 cents back in the day. It was real cheap, 25 cents or something. You say it's 25 cents. They give you $1 food stamp. I give them 75-cent change. And they'll walk out. Then they'll come right back in and be like, oh, let me get a Snickers candy bar. I give them a Snickers candy bar. They get the candy bar. They give me the $1 food stamp. I give them 25 cents. They just got $1.50. They take the $1.50, put it in the cigarette machine, and get them a pack of cigarettes. The whole time, all they wanted was the cigarettes. Now, I mean, I was a man of the people, even when I was a mentally dead. So, you know, like, if you was an old, white, poor woman eating cat food, you come to me, I'm going to give you free food. You know what I mean? It's a white lady live across the street from us at 13th Parkside. It's a giant apartment building across the street. She lived in this filthy apartment with all these cats and all that. She used to always buy all this pet food. And I used to be like, I see you feeding your cats today. She's like, oh no, that's not for my cats, that's for me. I'm like, what you mean that's for you? She's like, I eat that. You eat the cat food? She's like, yeah, the other food is too expensive, so I eat the Purina, I eat the cat food. I'm like, nah. Now, I mean, it's like, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this the devil. I wasn't thinking like, oh, y'all enslaved us. I didn't think like, oh, this old lady back in the day, she lived through Jim Crow segregation. We as a people have a heart of gold. I mean, I was on the tip like, nah. You know what I mean? But she was a proud white woman. Her thing was like, she didn't want no handout. So I took and was like, okay, I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to give you credit. What you do is, every time you come in here, you need something, you get it. When you get your little Social Security check, at the end of the month, you just come and pay your tab. She said, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I would just give her, you know, a dozen of eggs, some grits, oatmeal, milk, juice, bread, whatever she needed. You know what I mean? And at the end of the month, her bill on average, I would say back then, at the end of a month, her bill probably be like $60. You know what I mean? And she would come in the store and be like, oh, how much I owe you? I'd be like, oh, let me check. And I see she owes $60. Be like, oh, you owe $16.04. She said, okay. And she'll count out the money and give me $16. She really owes $60. Now, I mean, Johnny Bird used to be pissed at me for doing that. But I did that for her. All the pretty girls. The pretty girls come in there. They got a bunch of children. I did all the pretty girls. All my homies, they know, hey, Ace, man, let me get one of them, you know what I mean, honey buns. Oh, Ace, you know, they got the munchies, whatever. I'm going to look out. And the reason I looked out was because, one, Yaya, Johnny Bird, whom I love, that's my old head, that's my spiritual dad. That was my father of fathers, for real, besides my biological pop. I used to go with him down Huntington Park to the wholesale place. And he, you know, he taught me a lot of business stuff, you know what I mean? And, you know, he was a hustler. Now, I'm real estate, owned bars, you know what I mean, the whole nine. Now, I ain't going to get into the street stuff, but he was that boy. But one of the things I noticed is, like, he would get, like, a pack of cookies. It might be, I don't even call it exact. Now, I think it was like 250 cookies in a pack or 500 in a pack. He sell cookies for a penny. I'm just speaking hypothetically. Say he get 500 cookies. The wholesaler charged him $2. He's selling them for a penny a piece. You know what I mean? So he'll make $5 off of his $2. He'll get like a case of cereal. It might be 12 boxes in a case. You know what I mean? he get them for like 60 cents. He's selling them for like $1.20. I mean, you know, whatever it is, his markup was crazy. And I used to always bump heads with him like, yo, why is you charging so much, man? And he explained, if people think your prices is cheap, they're going to think the food is cheap. They're going to think you got inferior food. Now, I mean, he said this is business. Now, I mean, it's not personal. So he had a point. Now, I mean, we used to sell like, across the street from me, we sold like cheesesteaks, hoagies, all that kind of stuff. So I got to see the behind the scenes stuff. And these businesses, when it comes to wholesale, they are literally 10%. Rich slave makers. It's like, it's ridiculous if our people understood how they could cut out the middleman. And this is what China is doing in this day and time. Now, before I got the job at the store, we was struggling. Now, my mom raising us with 4 children by herself. I used to have to go down to Murray's Steakhouse. I don't know if you remember Murray's back in the day, but Murray's Steakhouse was on Broad Nolly. Now, I mean, next to the club we used to always dance at and all that stuff. But we didn't have enough money. Now, I mean, my mom wasn't a good steward. She got money in food stamps, you know what I mean, to take care of children, but she wouldn't handle it properly. And she peeped it, and she seen that I was good at business. So when I was like 14, she was like, you know, I was born, my sister, everybody called me Osh. They was like, Osh, this is what I want you to do. I'm not going shopping no more. You go shopping. So when she goes shopping, she buys the best stuff, the high quality stuff, whatever. And we run out of food. I mean, I'm in the street hustling just to make sure we got dinner on the table. That's how it, like, we used to go to Murray's and buy $2 5-pound boxes of frozen chicken backs. Like I hear people talk about chicken feet, chicken necks or whatever. We used to get the chicken backs, and I love my mama. I don't know how she did it, but she would take them chicken backs, man, and fry them joints with a big bag of French fries, or get a 5-pound bag of cheap potatoes and fry them joints up. And the dinner was absolutely delicious, especially with the hot sauce. Now, I mean, and one of the things that I loved, even when we had extra money, she used to take them chicken backs and stew them joints with some rice and onions. That was like my shot right there. And I mean, but it was a poor people's meal. Now, I mean, so we couldn't afford Geno's. Geno's is now known as Kentucky Fried Chicken or KFC. Back then, we would have Geno's in the good days. We had Geno's when my dad was around. We had Geno's when we had extra money. You know what I mean? I got a little sting. I made a little hustle. We eating Geno's. Now we eating pizza. You know what I mean? So that's how we was doing it. But when people are poor, and their mothers and grandmothers or fathers or sisters or brothers or themselves is making food out of love, even though the soul food is not healthy. Now, I mean, it was delicious. Collard greens, macaroni and cheese, pork ham, all that stuff was good. Now, I mean, it wasn't necessarily good for us, but it was the poor food that we can afford. We can afford a pound. My mom used to be able to feed all 4 her children with $2. We get a pound of hot dogs, a can of baked beans, and a pack of Kool-Aid, and a loaf of bread with $2 back in the day. It was a totally different time. Now you go get a pack of beef hot dogs, they might want $5, $10. I mean, you know, so when I learned the knowledge of myself, I peeped and understood the nuances of the messenger teachings. So when he say things like, but most poor people like us eat the inexpensive food because we do not have the money to buy expensive foods that rich millionaires eat. He prescribed for us dry navy beans and bread and milk. That makes perfect sense to me. Growing up in North Philadelphia, in a poor family, now I mean, I understood what it meant if we had a bag of black eyed peas. If my mom had a bag of lima beans, we good. I mean, we good. Now, some hot sauce. Now, lima beans are belly busters. They not all that good. Her prescribing the lima beans wasn't because she was like, oh, they full of protein and this, that, and iron. It was like, yo, this is what's going to fill y'all up. You know, you're a teenager. You got a vicious immune system. Now, I mean, you gonna be hungry if you don't get something on your stomach. Now, I mean, I you know, desperate people do desperate things. My thing is I got to eat. I mean, and if I can't eat, somebody ain't gonna eat. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm coming home like, yo, mom, I bought such, and she'll go downstairs, open up the bag. It's money in the bag, food in the bag. Where you get this from? I found it. You always find this shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Son got to make it happen. You know what I mean? You know, and that was from a place of love. That was from a real place. Not that I wanted to do crazy stuff, but we had, you know, I had 3 sisters. You know what I mean? My thing's like Christmas come around, ain't no Christmas tree. I'm going to get us a tree. You know what I mean? I'm going to get the gifts. I'm coming home with gifts from mommy, my sisters. We going to make it happen. Nothing fancy and expensive, but the little cheap Chardon shirt, the little, you know what I mean, Gloria Vanderbilt jeans and all that stuff. I'm going to keep fresh. My sneaks got to stay fresh. You know what I mean? And this is why I don't judge and criticize our youth today. This is why them young brothers out there hustling, sisters out there in the clubs stripping. They ain't trying to do that because they want to. They like, under these circumstances, we just trying to eat. Under these circumstances, we just trying to survive. And that's the mentality you got to have when you read How to Eat to Live. It's prescribed. The messenger said, look at this word. He prescribed for us. If the doctor see you sick, he like, listen, man, you really need this. But I don't have access. If you're on Gilligan's Island and you broke your leg, he'd be like, oh, call an ambulance. Well, on the island ain't no ambulance. He gonna need surgery. He gonna need some pins in his knee. Ain't no pins. So when he's a wise professor, wise scientist with Masfar Muhammad, what a wise messenger gonna do is like, okay, how can we be like MacGyver? How can we improvise? How can we make $1 out of 15 cents? This is what black people have been doing for 500 years in the hells of North America. So this thing's like, all right, go get me some bamboo. There's plenty of bamboo around this joint. Now I mean, go get me a couple of coconut shells, and now I mean, you know, it'd be like, well, we don't have nothing to numb the pain or whatever. All right, we're gonna make him some wine. I mean, get him a little drunk. Now I mean, somebody in the cowboy days, that's how poor white people was. They get shot, they like bite on this, take a shot of whiskey and bite on the stick. We gotta get this bullet out. We're gonna just cataract. We're gonna burn this joint. Now I mean, not because this is healthy, not because it's free of germs or this is the proper way of doing it. We're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you got to do what you got to do. Real guys do real things. Know what I mean? So when it came to this milk, Master Fard Muhammad thing was, but most poor people like us eat the inexpensive food because we do not have the money to buy expensive foods that rich millionaires eat. So he prescribed for us dry navy beans and bread and milk. Now, some people have misinterpreted this to mean that How to Eat to Live is we should be running around eating navy beans and bread and drinking milk. You'd be obese. You would be dead. You would have diabetes. No, that is not the teaching omelet. That's a prescription for poor people in desperate situations. Now, his teaching, his thing is like, you know, when it comes to this milk, his thing is like, you know, if you take the baby off the mother's breast milk and put him on Similac, Enfamil on the cow's milk, he you know, and Jess explained, don't be surprised if the baby fall in love with the cow instead of his mom. That's his food source. You know what I mean? But it's not a sin if a poor mother have to feed her baby some, if she go down WIC and get some Pampers and Similac and Enfamil. She in survival mode. Know what I mean? She'd be like, yo, if I had the money, if I had the health, you know what I mean, if I had the time or whatever, I may do it a different way. So we have to stop being so judgmental with our people, if you will. Know what I mean? Let me turn us back to this vegan thing here. Let's turn to page 74 again. Hold on. 74 page, How to Eat to Live, book number 2, 1972. Okay. Probably that's page number 74. All right. The messenger says, there's much fruits and vegetables that are good for us, but I do not have space to take them all up with you. Now keep in mind, if you was to talk about the fruits and vegetables on earth, you're literally talking millions of different kinds of fruits and vegetables, okay? The message is like, let's be real. If he was to write about each one, you're talking not a book like this. You're talking an encyclopedia set of books. That's not even practical. So he's giving us a simple, practical way. Many of these are not injurious to our health. There are some people who only eat fruits and vegetables. They are vegetarians and they live a long time. Those who do not go after the wrong kind of vegetables and fruits. See, a lot of people that's vegetarians, they look at it like, I'm vegetarian, so I can eat any fruits and vegetables. No, now you're going to the other extreme. See, you always want you always want that balance. Now, I mean, there are people that'll be more healthier that's eating meat or eating breads and other types of things than those that's eating fruits and vegetables full of pesticides. Now, I mean, eating, you have to keep in mind, there are fruits, like there are certain berries that you'll notice birds will fly and they won't eat them. If a bird see a blueberry, he eating that. He see a blueberry, blackberry, mulberry, raspberry, he eating that. If a bird sees some sunflower seeds, he's eating that. If a bird see something like some grapes, they eating that. But there are certain berries, there are certain mushrooms. You'll see the birds be like, we never eat that crap. Because to eat that is death. There are certain fruits that'll kill you. There are certain vegetables that will kill you. There are certain tree barks that will kill you. Certain roots that will kill you. Certain seeds that will kill you. So you can't be like, I'm just a vegan. I'm like Adam and Eve in the Bible and be spooky like, go out and eat all of the fruits and vegetables of the earth. It's all kind of things out there. I mean, you know, it's a balance there. It's a common sense practicality that goes along with that. Okay. Let's turn to page 111. 1 second here. Okay. The messenger says here, eating any kind of flesh is not good for us, not even beef. No animal flesh can be said to be good for human consumption, not even fowls, and very few fish, not to think of the scavengers of the water such as crabs, shrimps, and oysters. We must learn to eat vegetables and fruits. We must learn to eat vegetables and fruits and stay away from land flesh. It is a little difficult. It is a little, notice to qualify, it's a little difficult for us to suddenly stop eating beef, lamb, and chicken. You know, black folks love that chicken. I mean, it's kind of hard, but we must wean away from such flesh gradually. Okay? Eating one meal a day prolongs your life if you eat the right food. People will soon live a life of 1,000 years after removal of this wicked world. So the messenger, he teaches us that when we wean ourselves away from the devil's diet, now I mean, And I literally mean die it. You'll die eating it. Know what I mean? You definitely want, if I had a brother, two brothers, one eating beef, chicken, and fish, and one was a vegetarian, I would say the one eating a vegetarian is eating a healthier lifestyle. You want to be a vegetarian. But if I could tell you real life stuff, if I seen a brother in Greene County Super Maximum Prison and it's the weekend, in the penitentiary on the weekend, there is no showers. There is no yard. You're in that cell 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds a day, or 24 hours a day. When you push the water might be rusty, old. You can't drink that. It'll kill your leg. Know what I mean? When they bring that food tray in, you're looking at it. Now, you're in a situation. You don't control your diet. Someone brings your food to you. In the morning, you may have powdered eggs, white toast, an orange, a cup of coffee, and a pint of little milk. Number 2, fat-free milk. Now, I mean, for lunch, they may serve some roast beef, some mashed potatoes, some gravy, and some carrots, and give you a little cup of fake ice cream. For dinner, they may have, say, goulash, like some beef mixed up with macaroni and some tomato paste and some onions and peppers. And they may have some pudding and 2 pieces of soft white bread and a cup of chemical Kool-Aid. I mean, this is real stuff. Now, if you're a political prisoner like Mumia Abu-Jamal, Russell Schultz, JoJo Bowens, FOI, MGT, MOVE, whatever. Now, I mean, we're in this situation, locked down 90 days, 9 months, 9 years. I mean, so this is the reality of our circumstance. What are we to do? You have to adapt or die. So we be on tip like, okay. Now, I mean, like I literally, it's a million stories with this. I ain't going to get into all the details, but you have brothers that are so ingenuous. They make what's called donuts. Donuts are where they take toilet paper and they are actual scientists. They know how to roll toilet paper to make it into a donut shape so that when you light it, the air comes up the middle and you get fire without smoke. Because if the guards smell the smoke or know you burning something, they come to rush in your cell, beat you half to death, you know what I mean, and taking your lighter or your matches, whatever. They knew how to literally take 2 pieces of wire, stick it inside the socket, positive and negative, AC and DC current, and take a string, take cotton balls off their socks, and put it on there into a little piece and connect the wires, and it poof, put the cotton on fire, then they put the tissue on fire, then they add the tissue to the donut. They was scientists. These dudes down there, like if you're down here and you ain't got no food, and like I'm down here